just how to go about that process as well. Insider tips on perfecting your online resume, otherwise known as a LinkedIn profile. Plus, we'll take a quick look at the colourful career of the Wink Models co-founder and CEO. That's coming up for you later on the show, Taryn Williams. Well, the corporate ladder can be a difficult one to navigate, particularly when it comes to breaking into the ranks of the C-suite. Highly competitive, highly sought after. So, of course, it goes without saying, it's important to know how to present yourself as much as your track record. Well, to tell us firsthand just how to execute on that transition, I'm joined by Elizabeth McIntyre, CEO of Think Brick Australia, and Joel Norton, CEO of Kaleido, right here in the studio with me. Warm welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Let's just sort of understand how much of a change this industry has been under. All the time we talk disruption week in, week out. I mean, starting off, you know, with your own experience, what was I suppose the minefield that you had to navigate? What was the biggest hurdle to you making the move from one to the other?
I think in terms of moving from marketing to CEO, it's got to be, I think, a conscious decision and something that is a strategic move. So you've really got to look at what sort of skills do I need to improve on so that I don't just remain in that box known as a marketer. And it's still a challenge, I think, as you go on. Yeah.
To the extent that you did it, though, at a certain point with certain skills, what do you look back on and say gave you the best preparation? Was it actually in the field work, or was it actually, though, the letters after your name, the sort of, you know, the proverbial MBA, the Wharton connection, or whatever the business school might happen to be?
I will always say don't underestimate the value of experience, and I think there's probably a good balance, but experience is really good, and I also believe that today, I think there's a little bit of an attitude with the younger sort of generations coming through that menial tasks don't matter. But really what they do is they're a great way to show people what your capabilities are. If you can't do a simple task, no one's ever going to give you a greater one to do. So I think that's really important. But at the same time, continual learning is also important so that you can be abreast all the different changes that are happening.
Because you were in an industry that has to be said, you know, the imbalance between genders is quite pronounced, right? I mean, you weren't
There's a perception of that.
And yet the reality, is it's quite, you know, evenly balanced. How does it play out?
It is. I think, look, there's still circumstances where I think gender plays a role, and then I do think that women still have to prove themselves more. And I certainly don't think that I have been immune to that. But at the same time, things are changing. They're probably just not changing as fast as we would like them.
Joel, you know, from what you see, that pace of change and the ability to, you know, be prepared to move into an area that maybe even you haven't given consideration to, how are you steering that story?
Yeah, I think it's. I think one of the key things you need to be prepared to be flexible. So I think yeah, the line, well, certainly my experience in sort of going from senior executive through to CEO wasn't a straight line, and it had sort of moved around a bit. But so part of that was really around getting a broader experience across the different businesses, which ultimately enables you to have that broader experience that you need for CEO.
Is there a sense with both of you that there's sort of an understood and accepted time, a tour of duty, if you like, in those middle to senior ranks before, you know, making the leap? Otherwise, you are considered to have jumped the gun, and you'll be sort of forever having that imposter syndrome concern swirling. I mean, you know, Joel, on that score, I mean, what are the timeframes like? Or is every sector different? It's invidious to.
I think, look, from my experiences, you've got to just got to know you've got to know what you're doing, really. So I don't think age really matters, but I think there are some barriers as far as getting through. So my experience coming through sort of at that senior executive level, obviously the further you go up, the less opportunities there are. So you do need to wait around a bit, and I suppose that's sometimes it might be easier to sort of jump across them.
Yeah, I think you definitely always want to be that person that is willing to give it a go and to go further than you're asked to do.
Right.
And that's that leadership and taking those opportunities, because once people can see that you're capable and you want more opportunities will be presented to you. You can't sit back and think it's all going to happen.
No, absolutely. You need to
no matter how long you're there for.
If you're accountable and sort of owning the outcome with things, you'll get more opportunities given to you. So
the idea, though, Elizabeth, that once you're in harness, you know, the pressure on to be seen to be revolutionary. I mean, this idea of, you know, be distinctive can come at a price of dislocating others down the ranks, their sense of their sense of being in the organisation? I mean, having a game plan is different to a sort of a scorched earth policy on what's come before. How have you yourself, in an industry that is pretty traditional, the bricks and the construction process, how have you sort of branded it differently, but also not, tried to rethink the obvious?
Well, I think I'm really passionate about what I do, and I certainly say to everyone, if you can't get excited about what you're selling, how do you expect anyone else to be excited about that as well? And I think what is really important is igniting that passion within the people that are going to help you. So the industry itself had to go through a bit of a revolution in the sense of they needed to become more enthusiastic about their product, see the value in it, and that's what I think I've been able to contribute.
So is this about bringing in the likes of the Anthony Robbins proverbial kind of the G-up, the revival meeting approach? Or, I mean, how does it play out in practice? How do you call on the passion? Unlock that passion. It's a cliche, but it's what steps do you do?
I think really for us it was about engaging the industry, of which everyone is competing, but also looking at what the common purpose is, where we could make a difference, and trying to, I guess, align that enthusiasm across the spectrum.
Joel, speak to that yourself.
Yeah, no, similar. I think within our business we've tried a lot as far as trying to get to the core purpose of what it is we do, and really get people excited about that. And for myself, so we've had similar backgrounds as far as coming from marketing. I've stayed in the marketing because I actually love that side as far as driving real results. So I've sort of gravitated more to sort of data-based or data-led sort of businesses, but it's ultimately around driving solutions and results for our clients, and that's what we try and instill in.
How do you connect with those clients? So if you break it all down and say, look, let's go for the human emotion rather than the industry speak that we are all bored to death with in a sense, because we know it so well. I mean, no one's about to sort of deliver a eureka moment to us. If they are, great, but let's face it, that's probably not the likelihood. The probability is you meet in a social setting even. What are the things that are, you find get through to people to say, look, I'll come and work for you because we connect? What do you go for? What are those topics?
With clients?
Even just in an industry level, with clients, trying to sort of make that connection. What is it? To break away from the business, what do you typically go for? What areas?
I'm sort of normally sort of asking around what are the key things that keep them up at night.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and I think for a lot of CEOs on the client side, they are looking as far as digital transformation and how do they take their clients on a bit of a journey, and that's one of the key things that we do. So part of that's how they work that as a business, and also part of it's around how they do that as an individual. Yeah.
Do you find in terms of disruption? At what point along that process has it hit your industry yet?
It's always, but one of the great things about bricks and what we promote is they're a very reliable product. So of course we get disruptors all the time, but everyone loves the reliability of our product. But in terms of how we engage people, and particularly the industry, for me, and pardon the pun, it's about bringing down the scaffolding. Help me to help you. And I think once you have that open dialogue and engagement, then everyone can see. Everyone needs to know where they fit into the greater picture. So I think that's what's worked for us.
Executing on the transition, what is the secret on that measure? Essentially.
Well, look, I think there's probably three things. One is around finding something that you love to do. Second thing, which we've touched on, is around sort of being accountable and sort of owning the outcome. And the third thing really about sort of being flexible, I think.
And neither of you have spoken of, and yet it's always there lurking, the crucial relationship with the chair in an organisation. Is there an agreement across both industries that you're in that there's something there that you can either work to improve and therefore arrive at a happy long-term outcome, or what are the challenges? The chair, which you're lumbered with.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say that because I've been really fortunate to have some wonderful chairs, and at the moment I have 3. I think it's the experience is what you make it, and I think if the chair is able to give you the time, you really need to use them as a mentor and look at how you can approach the situation in a different way. But I think it's what you give to it, what you prepare, and going in and understanding with this time that you have together, what is it that you really want to get out. And that's really the same for if you've got instances with your own team. How are you going to best use value someone's time that is, you know, the leader.
Yeah. To that point, anything to add on that score?
Yeah, right. Look, in any business, it's really important to have strong relationships. So having strong relationships with the chair and the other sort of people in the group, your peers as well. That's really important. So
optimally, because you said if they give you the time,
yes.
What have you found as the optimal balance there? Say in any month, what would be it?
Oh, look, I think once a month sort of meeting for an hour is perfect, and I think that continual dialogue so that you can have the meetings before the meeting. But I think one of the other things that is really underestimated when you're in these top roles is that it is a really lonely space. Suddenly everything does rest with you, and that's where I think chairs can be that sort of sounding board for you and real support for you, and certainly that's what I've found.
Well, best of luck to you for the next chapter, and congratulations, goes without saying, for having made it thus far to where you're both at. Elizabeth McIntyre, the CEO of Think Brick Australia, with Joel Norton alongside today. Let's take a short break. When we come